Random but Relevant, presented by My Block TV. I'm your host, Oswald Williams. Today's artist profile I'm honored to have this person. He is the owner of Rap Rehab himself, Mr. Paul Porter. Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho,
ho. How you been?
Man, I'm living. I can't.
You know I've been waiting a long time for this one, OG. So I'm gonna get into it off the muscle. Blackout the book, 40 years of experience in the music industry. I just want to say congratulations on that book. It was a great read.
Thank you.
And to be honest with you, I'm gonna talk about how I got to meet you before you even wrote this book. But I just wanted to salute you on this book, because anybody in the independent spirit trying to pursue this music business, I always say read this book. So I just appreciate you for having this book. And I want to get into the first one as I'm reading this, because I came up in the early 90s when BET really thrived. So when I was reading the book, Midnight, you were talking about when you worked on Midnight Love doing the voiceover, right? And it was so funny because I made the connection as I was reading, like, oh shit, that is his voice. So I thought that was awesome. But just tell the people a rundown of your history in radio and how it transitioned to TV and everything.
Well, it started really, and back there in Jamaica, Queens, man. I started to get a lot of with people that worked in the industry that lived on my block, next block over from 3rd and 104. A lot of the seniors were in the music industry early 70s. My boy, father, Miss Simone, and he got me into the music business when I was basically, once I went to college, and you know, things took off with the college radio station. I moved from Washington, D.C. Donnie hired me to be on radio, got a television show. Later on, went to ET with another show, different radio. Got to work home in New York. You know, life is good. I mean, I'm not saying, but I've been able to survive on at this point. I have my own radio station in Orlando, small, but we just, matter of fact, got the Best of Orlando radio broadcast for yesterday.
Congratulations,
We've been on
man.
2 years, so I'm real proud.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, I wanted to bring up some interesting facts. You said you went to college at Northeastern. That's also the college of Wendy Williams went to for journalism.
Yeah, man. You know, as read in the book Blackout, RBB, the little 10-watt radio, for some of the people that came through there. I was the first black programmer. You know, Northeast was all-white school. I went there and played basketball. I'm still 60. I got mean, but that's another story. But RBB was it. Wendy came through there. A guy who's at BLS, the CNN bureau chief. You never know who, but at what period of life. That college started a lot of pros in this.
And yeah, and that was one of the most interesting things of the book too, because it was so informative, and it blended with your personal life in a real organic way. I learned that Donnie Simpson started in radio as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Everybody, you know, when you talk about the 70s, early 80s, black radio, Donnie came out Detroit, and he hired him about 8 years after I got there. He hired me. And, you know, 3 months after I got there, which was Kissing, we went #1 for like 7 years. It ruled DC, man. Chocolate Good Days from the early 1990s.
It was so personal for me, that part in the book, was because I went to high school in Maryland, born and raised in Brooklyn. We moved to that. You from Southside Queens, I'm from the North Side, so we moved to Queens, and right after junior high, I moved to Maryland. So this was around the time you really got into BET, and all those things I read in the book, it was just the connection I made to like, oh man, I remember that as a teenager.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? It was just powerful. Just to touch on a little bit, I understand that you talked about also. You gave me a lot of information about Kathy Hughes, and you made a great point about how important public radio was to that time. And just talk to me a little bit about how the structure of the radio station set up, and you were talking about her midnight show and all of that things, and how important it was for black folks at the
Well,
time.
radio was a different aspect, and we were in the business of breaking records and change culture. As radio took control, the 1996 Telecom Act allowed broadcasters to buy multiple outlets and Clear Channel owning 92 stations, 1,100 2 years, and that's when it started to get watered down. Hear the same song, constant repetition, and it's been like that for 20 years now. Things haven't changed.
One of the main things you taught me, and I try to incorporate that in what we do at My Block TV, is you always talk about making your playlist personal, and and in the book it made it seem like once that conglomerate monopoly started happening, it really damaged radio music and just the VJ as a whole. Is that the case?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It just got so concentrated. Back in the 80s, early 90s, a top five record play every 4 or 5 hours. Now they play every to 70 minutes. So the repetition increased and the variety is down to who has the most money. Payola real, and folks don't want to talk about it, but they know that there's a corporate connection money now, still the funk flex style.
Yeah. There was another positive thing. I'm gonna let you talk on it more, but because this is a debate that still goes on to this day, as far as content in hip hop and in R&B, and you changed my perspective on how I think about it, just because of the story you told about the girl when Rod Digger's song was out.
Yeah,
So if you could just tell the audience about that story a little bit, and it touches on the book.
Yeah, that it was like a pivot moment. I used to volunteer at school in Queens. I can't think of the next elementary school where Jam Master Jay was, right off 100th Avenue, 2-something Street. But a young girl who was in 8th grade, she came to me with a note and it said, "Paul, could you please get the record off the radio?" It was Rod Digger, the chorus, "That bitch with the bat, that bitch with the bat." I said, why do you want this record off? And she said, "My mom is in the hospital and my dad beat her up with the bat."
Mm.
And it just killed me. I went to the station, I meant what happened, showed the note, I got rejected, but I kept knocking on more doors, the vice president's door. Then I got the trump of the company to respond to me. I was shocked. And one thing led to another. Couple records came off, and about a week later, I came off. I never worked again in radio.
Wow.
Until I bought my.
So what would you say about, because this was a time in hip hop where they tried to censor everything. Back when I was a kid and my brother was listening to, there was PE and there was X-Clan, and they tried to outlaw that. Now we're in a time where the hip hop has gotten so big. Some people just be scared to say they shouldn't say this, they shouldn't say that, because they remember a time where they didn't want it in the music business at all. But hearing that story, just tell me why do you champion trying to put out more of the negative music and controlling when you play?
It's about balance. I learned a lot about music. A lot of things, I should say, from music. Music was an inspiration. The most popular record I ever heard, I was 10 years old, James Brown used to have a crib on Linden Boulevard up in St. Albans. And we used to ride our bike when he came out with Stay It Loud on Black and Proud, and I'm a little kid. I never wanted to be black because back then being black was not cool. You know, to say you were black, that meant you were tar. And I wanted to be like my boy Bucky and Rennie. They were Puerto Rican with straight hair. But when Brown says "Get loud, I'm black and I'm proud," I've been holding my fists up ever since 1968.
I know that.
So I know music is inspiration. And when you hear music that touches your heart, you feel different. And unfortunately, balance of music now is so dumbed down. We've been stuck in this chamber of hate on each other. And I don't know what the other people grow up like this.
But so what do you say to the consumer that says, well, I come from a time where we didn't have the money, we weren't making the money, the artist wasn't making the money now. So now it's open up where everybody's making money, so it shouldn't be an issue about.
Yeah, but that's a lie, and everybody ain't making money. They appear to make money, but artists are getting ripped off now. Ever the companies are making more money. The streaming money going to come. You know, that's why I get folks to read, man. That's why I started raptab.com. There's a do-it-yourself section. You got to study the game. They call it music business for a reason. There's a lot of that is involved, and folks never do the research or the work to actually the money. They always think some quick fix, and 98% of the people got to grind to get. Of course, there's every other year, Fetty Wap or the Bobby Smurda, and you see they come and go as it can be. It's about surviving time.
Nice. And oh yeah, rest in peace to Mr. Brown too. I remember as being in high school when the Commissioner Lee Brown passed in an airplane. It was so funny. Ron Brown. Excuse me. It was so.
Secretary of Commerce.
You brought a lot of things together to me because I remember when he passed, and reading that book showed me his history as far as how he started off as well. So again, I tell people to get it just because if you grow up in my era, there's no way you're not gonna make these ill connections to the BET days and just these names. And it just, I don't know, for me, I've always admired Kathy Hughes and her hustle. So just to read that book and find out her history, it just made me proud. It just made me realize how important public access and public radio, public television is. So if you don't mind, touch on that a little bit. How important do you think is that public space for radio and TV and things like that? How important is that?
I mean, it's the only way we can tell our real story. You know, until you own or control things, commercial outlets won't let you do it. The good thing about my station, you get the app to the Y985. We play hip hop and R&B, but we play a balance of music, and it's working. You know, our little station has been rated in the last 9 row, and it's the first LPFM in the country and a major market that rated. So, you know, but they all can't. That's why you got a place of control so you can do it yourself. No, I know my block TV is out there on the street, but funding these projects is the toughest thing. So finding finances and save dollars and not buying, you know, joining 24X's where you got to save money, bank dollars.
Yeah, and one thing I like about your message is that because I'm a victim. I did it too because when I was in film school, Gina Rice, a mutual friend of ours, she told me about you, and it wasn't until I read your book I realized why she told me about you so early. I don't know if it was the hustle, the energy, the way I was thinking, but when I read that book, if you remember, we had conversations in between that. You used to always say, no one listens, no one reads. No one listens, no one reads. So when I read that book, I realized the time I wasted and how much how much game of this game I would have got earlier. So again,
Yeah.
this is really just bigging you up for your 40 years in the business and the way you
No,
wrote that
no,
book.
that's why I put together the site Rap Rehab. I know everybody's trained by videos and pictures, and they're cool, but there's a lot of on paper, on the web, on YouTube too. And folks got to do research, but you got to be prepared for the long run. It's not a sprint, marathon.
What makes a good song to you? Since we on music, what makes a good song to you?
Yo, like you Nicole Bus.
That was a
called
beautiful song you sent
You
me
Don't
to.
Rock Now. Best song I heard in 2018 by far. It's the production. It's some of the same. There's a lot of, and it's really to know a real and a lot of call on songs. In radio, we do something called recognition, fatigue, and popularity. And there's a lot of songs that have fatigue, or what we call a quick burn. Like this joint, never want to hear it. Like, I'm not a fan, like, did all about the events, but nobody's calling for that joint because it got burned out. Yeah. It didn't have a long shelf life. Like Daniel and her, best part, people been hearing that song for a year and a half. Yeah. And they still like it. That's true. So, you know, there's different stats and ways to be able to talk and engage folks.
Understood. So, Oswald Williams, for those of you just joining us, we are here with the owner of Rap Rehab, Mr. Paul Porter. Just to touch on it, oh yeah, I gotta touch on it. I don't remember the name, but in your book you talk about your mentor. And again, this is something else I always carry with me. It's keep it simple, dummy. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, man, my old boss, man, Joe White was a radio guy, and it was different, man. 1977, I'm in college, and Sonny was a gay guy with straight hair, but he taught me, man. You know, and back then, it wasn't cool to be gay, you know, but Sonny had a sense of warmth and openness, and he helped me for a time. I only for a year and a half, advised me for 15 years before he passed.
And you took that phrase with you through your career, right?
Yeah, well, I share others. I still share it today because everybody's got a yap, yap, yap. I believe the music does the talking.
Yeah. And the Trey Lee, that when you told me that T.I. artist, you've been undefeated whenever you send me music and content. I'm always engaged and I'm always learning.
Oh,
Trans Lee, pardon me, yeah. I couldn't believe when I heard that. So, and you also talk about in the radio, you talk about live music left radio. You really talk about how that really hurt radio as well. Just touch on that just a little bit for me.
Well, I mean, that was going to see artists was everything for a long time. Concerts, you know, I remember at the J Stadium, this massive, seeing bands. You know, nobody sees bands anymore. There's no super groups anymore. It's all a visual stage show. And I used to know people that played the drums and instruments, but, you know, everything's replaced with computers. That's why the feel of some of these records lost. That's why I like Nicole Bus. She plays every instrument, and you can hear the difference in the production.
Yeah. And just before we close out, I want to just talk about the last couple pages in your book. The way it was read, like I would be honest with you, I'm going to say it again, I was in St. Albans Library crying. And just crying, just the way you wrote about your mom and the woman you know had a great relationship that you always loved. And one of the main things, I think we live in a world where men are afraid to be vulnerable. It's in the music and it reflects us. And your book really talks about love in a way where it's like you didn't care about being vulnerable. You appreciated being
there. Yeah, man. Look, I'm tough. I live in Florida. I carry a 9mm every day. licensed. but you know, love is powerful that gets you through a lot of time, man. And losing love in your life, that is suppressing shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's okay. Right. It's all right, man. Part of emotion doesn't make you soft or whatever else. It just shows, and that's what I wanted to do with the book. And anybody can get the book at blackoutthebook.com. Now, I sign every book, put my phone number in, and I've had some great conversations with people as far away as and you know, it's been nice, man, to share this book. It's still moving, man. Still moving.
It writes like it's easy to make a movie out of it. Do you see that something doing along the lines, just for your personal, you know?
I'm working on now a 4-series deal with Lifetime.
Nice.
4 episodes. So yeah, there's been a couple of off. Matter of fact, the first day I was on Joy Reid, Eric Mel hit me on Twitter. She gave me a pulse off, but you know, still working on it.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, Mr. Porter, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you for always answering your phone when I call you, man. And I see you as an OG, a mentor, and I just want to
say, everybody's important, bro.
Yeah, that's
hey,
good.
Folks can hit me on social media, Twitter, IG, Porter on Air.
Which we'll have on the thing when we're done, guys.
And the staff.
Merry Christmas, brother. I appreciate you. Random but Relevant, presented by My Block TV. We are here with the owner of Rap Rehab, Mr. Paul Porter. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, man, and I will definitely, you know, pick up the phone whenever I need some
I'm here 24/7. All right, man.
Blessings.